뭐야? 총 쏴.
Holmes.
저 사람이 홈즈구나. 뭐지?
Holmes, will you stop that?
홈즈! 헐, 곰 얼굴 무서워.
You are utterly mad.
왜 저래? 나 죽이는 거 아니야? 홈즈가 범인으로 시작하는 스토리.
Stop, Holmes.
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded.
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter, has been murdered.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The merry men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone then.
어떻게 속눈썹이 저렇게 위로 확 올라갔지? 나도 확 올라가면 좋겠다. 산직의 별장을 조사하라. 탭키로 사건 수첩을 펼칠 수 있다고? 아, 이게 사건 수첩이구나. 피터 캐리 살인 사건을 조사하세요. 산지기의 별장에서 사건 현장을 조사하세요. 옷장에서 정장을 꺼내 입고 산지기의 별장에서 레스트레이드 경감과 만나세요. 그렇구나. 옷을 갈아입는구나. 분석용
My
책상.
analysis table. It is useful for my work.
분석용 책상. 와, 그릇 너무 예쁘다. 와, 만원경으로 밖에도 볼 수 있다. 어머. 남의 집을 보고 있는데 눈 마주쳤어. 깜짝 놀랐네. 왓슨이랑 얘기해볼게. 아까 총 쏴서
You go
미안해.
along to Peter Carey's house. Mrs. Hudson and I will take care of the mess you've made here.
와, 벽에 그림 너무 예쁘다. 저거 꽃그림. 맨 오른쪽에 있는 그림 완전 내 취향. 아저씨 근육 누구?
A map of London and the surrounding area.
런던이니까.
It could be useful.
허드슨 부인.
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
죄송해요. 여기 문이 있네요. 일로 들어갈게요. 가발도 있네. 화장대? 대박! 머리를 바꿀 수가 있네? 이거. 사건을 해결해야 이게 열린대. 너무해. 나중에 그럼 입도록 하죠. 그럼 옷장부터. 평상복? 저 맘에 드는 거 있어요. 회색 정장. 이걸 입도록 하겠습니다. 와, 레데리 집 같아. 자, 그럼 산지기의 별장으로 가겠습니다. 피해자의 양녀 피터 캐리는 블랙 피터라는 별명을 가지고 있다. 1845년 출생하였으며 현재는 50살이다. 스칸디나비아에서 고래잡이로 큰 돈을 벌었으며 1884년에 은퇴했다. 그 후 산지기의 별장에서 머물렀다. 그랬구나. 마차가 엄청나게 흔들리네요.
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
컴온. 산지기 별장에서 레스트레이드와 합류하라. 완료. 오솔길 주변의 땅바닥. 아, 이렇게 T버튼을 누르면 뭔가 수색할 수 있나 보다. 자세히 볼 수 있는 건가? 이거 뭐라 그래? 하이. 대화 좀 해볼까?
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
네, 맞아요. 홈제요.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
손질된 정원. 깔끔하게 손질돼 있다.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
뭐 없나? 위쳐 센스라고? 위쳐에 이런 기능이 있어요? 와, 이거 물 떨어지는 거 비 오면 이쁘겠다. 아, 위에 물을 틀 수가 있구나.
Mr. Holmes?
뭐야, 다 똑같이 말해.
Mr. Holmes?
네.
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
오, 입술 색깔
My
진짜 이뻐.
condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
그날 밤 수상한 행적 시체 발견 시각. 정언사가 있나? 수상한 행적에 대해 물어볼게요.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it
테러블
then.
스크림.
He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
사건 시체 발견 시각.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open. But I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and... Oh dear.
사건 당일 저녁.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper.
성격이
Usually,
좀
whenever that happened, he'd stay all
그러셨구나.
night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
방문자가 있었습니까?
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
아까 정원이 깔끔했죠?
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
진짜로? 엄청 고수인가 봐. 정원 돌보기 고수. 표정이 굉장히 자연스럽네요. 근데 이분을 좀 살펴볼게요. 안녕하세요. 팔로우 감사합니다. 장신구와 천주교 묵주가 있고요. 뿔 박새가 그려진 수첩과 원예용 장갑이요. 남편이 돌봤다며 여자용 장갑이 있네요. 3장. 위로를 할게요.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes. Life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
저 좀 막장으로 가려고요.
Never mind.
위로 또 해볼까? 뭐지?
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes. Life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
물러나 뭐라고? 아, 뭐 이렇게
Thank you, madam.
뭐 단서가 있어야 말을 할 수가 있나 보다. 근데 집 너무 예뻐요, 여기. 자, 센서로 좀 자세히 볼게요. 빨래 같은 건 아무것도 아니겠지? 어서오세요. 팔로우 감사합니다. 어서와요. 뭔 소리지? 방금 왼쪽에? 아, 닭소리구나. 근데 너무 끔끔해지지 않아요? 무슨 벌레 소리. 아, 벌레구나. 나 진짜 내 귀에 있는 줄 알았어. 너무 싫어, 벌레.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
근데 진짜로 왼쪽에서 들렸어. 왼쪽 귓볼, 아니, 귓바퀴 쪽에서 들리는 소리 같았어. 깜짝 놀랐네. 말해볼까?
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
네. 다 똑같이 말하네? 뭔가 더 찾아보죠. 오솔길과 주변의 땅바닥에 발자국이 있어요? 발자국을 조사해보자.
These footprints appear to be quite large.
누구 발자국이죠? 그냥 크다는 거 말고는 뭔가
These
특징이 없어, 그치? 근데 이 사람하고 얘기해보자.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin.
네,
We took care not to touch anything.
나도 발 큰데. 자, 안에 봅시다. 혹시 잔인한 장면이 나오나?
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that
잘했어요,
no one should
경감님.
enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
그렇지.
Hello, hello.
칭찬해줘야지.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr.
정말?
Holmes.
Let me see.
정말? 출입문을 억지로 열려고 했던 긁힌 자국이 있어요.
These scratches are fresh.
누가 왔다 갔나 봐.
You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool.
경감님 입술만 보여.
Mr. Holmes?
혹시 이쪽으로 들어가려고 했던 흔적이 없을까 해서 왔는데 못 가네요.
Peter Carey's body is inside the
자,
cabin.
들어가겠습니다. 시체가 어디 있을까? 오,
What a terrible way to die.
혹시 이런 거 못 보면 힘들겠는데요?
Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting.
항해 도구. 장화.
Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8.
팔무늬 뭐지?
Harpoons for hunting whales.
27인가요?
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain.
신발 취소구나. 담배 주머니에
The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work.
열어봐봐. 왜 안 열려? 이런 거구나. 나 여기도 이렇게 열릴 줄 알았는데 안에 가루 같은 게 들어있어요.
This aroma is familiar, but to
냄새!
recognize it, I
이게
must
그 유명한
construct my
냄새
associations
맞추기.
in one picture.
와, 이게 그거구나. 오, 진짜 유명해서 보긴 했는데 어떻게 하는지 모르지. 뭐 어쩌라고 이거. 이런 거구나. 이렇게 뭐 어쩌라고. 이렇게인가? 이렇게? 뭐 이 각도가 맞는 것 같은데? 이건 안 움직이고 밑에 이거 두 개는? 그러게 어느 각도가 맞을까? 그러니까 배 모양인가벼. 근데 오, 이렇게다. 아닌가? 뭐가 이렇게다야. 아닌데. 뭔가를 움직여서 맞춰야 할 것 같은데. 근데 이렇게 너무 멀리 가는 건 아닌 것 같고. 그치? 움직이는 게 이거밖에 없거든요? 여기 이렇게인 것 같고, 아닌가? 진짜 모르겠네. 맞아, 밑에 이게 쉬운가 보다. 이렇게다. 이렇게다. 아닌가? 이거 맞는 것 같은데? 이렇게잖아. 그치? 아닌가 봐. 아무 일도 일어나지 않는데? 이렇게다! 대박스. 이렇게네.
Yes, this is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors.
오, 더러운
Someone drank from
유리잔.
this glass recently. Rum, a sailor's drink. It seemed that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death.
죽기 전까지 술을 마시고 있었군. 이제 드디어 이 사람을 봐야 하는데.
The Sea Unicorn. She was the ship that Peter Carey commanded.
자, 웅덩이부터 볼게요. 수첩.
JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook.
열 수 없나?
The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey.
와, 그런 거 어떻게 아냐? 잘하네. 열었어. 깜짝이야.
These abbreviations mean something, but what?
뭐라고 적혀 있고요? 이 칼로 죽었구나.
This wooden handle is plain and solid. This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. Peter Carey tried to
아닌데,
defend
창이
himself
꽂혀
with this
있는데?
knife, but he did not succeed.
어디부터 봐야 하나?
Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. The
흉부.
weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense.
맞아, 발이 크다고 했으니까 힘도 셀 거야.
This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. The weapon fully...
안 본 데 있을까요?
This man... Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer.
뭘까? 맞네, 크기 같네, 팔무늬. 바다표범 가죽으로 만든 담뱃주머니요? 바다표범 가죽도 사용하는구나. 이제 부인하고 대화할 거리가 생긴 것 같아요. 나가서 한번 보겠습니다.
The murder weapon was probably taken from this rack.
선반 안 봤다.
The tooth of a
우와,
sperm
고래
whale,
이빨?
probably from one of Peter Carey's catches.
신기하네. 수상한 빈 공간. 여기에 뭔가 있었을 것 같은데. 이 네모난 뭔가가 있었을
This
것
place
같은데.
is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book, a box or a small chest, perhaps.
수상하다고 생각하고 있었다고? 아, 그러고 보니 저기만 먼지가 안 쌓인 뭐 그런 느낌? 이건 무슨 입이지? 침입자가 있었고요. 누군가 침입을 시도했다. 수첩. 정원사는 없다. 잠깐만, 뭔가 숨기고 있어. 잠깐만. 저기 부인이랑 대화 좀 더 해보고 맞춰보자. 지도. 뭔가 방금 떴었는데. 됐다.
Dundee,
던디.
Hammerfest. It's a whaling map.
아, 고래 잡이 지도구나. 고래 잡아서 부자가 됐다 그랬잖아. 부인, 저랑 대화 좀 해요. 부인. 남편은 흡연자셨습니까?
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be. But he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
그래요?
Your
담배를
husband's
끊었대.
private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
그 선반에 있었잖아.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes. Life with Peter was never easy. But he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you
눈이
know?
왜 이렇게 충혈됐지? 플리머스에 대해서는 어떻게 하셨죠? 몰라요. 플리머스에 대해서 어떻게 알았지? 나 진짜 모르겠는데? 뱃사람의 작품이다. 항해일지. 성지순례. 어떡해. 나 진짜 모르겠는데? 어떻게 알아주신 거죠? 피해자의 양력은 절대 아닌 것 같고요. 아닌가? 난 근데 플리머스가 뭔지도 몰라. 그게 어딘데? 담배 주머니로 할까? 그래, 담배 주머니로 결정. 그런 게 없네요? 아, 여기 있다. 해답을 선택하래. 오답을 선택하지 말고.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
알았어요.
Yes.
He was different, wasn't he? When you first met him upon your
귀향하는
return
길에
from
들렀던 플리머스.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
아,
Yes, but how do you know about that?
귀향하는 길에 들렀으니까 성지순례? 나 몰라. 순서대로 하나씩
You
눌러보겠어.
undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
또 뭔가 말해볼까?
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
자, 한번 조합해보자. 사라진 양철통. 양철을 뭘 숨겨놔? 거기 위에 선반에 있던 거 아니야? 정원사는 없다. 수첩. 침입자가 있었어. 나 이거 지금 아직 첫 번째라 어떻게 하는 건지 감이 안 오는데. 담배를 끊었다. 이거 아니라고? 틀린 거 고르면 이렇게 선 가나봐. 갓겜이네. 단서들을 연관시켜 도출해낸 추리로 범죄 형장을? 네? 침입자가 현장으로 돌아올 것을 대비하여 매복 작전을 준비하기로 했다. 맞아, 친절하네.
Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry.
뭔가를 훔치려고 돌아올 건가 본데? 옷장에서 정장을 꺼내 입고 만났고요. 뭐 어쩌라고, 이거 다 한 건데. 피터 캐리. 뿔박새가 서식하는 스코틀랜드의 인버네스와 출생했다. 매복 장소를 찾을게요. 좋아. 어디 매복해? 매복이라고요? 그런 거 못하는데. 돌아올 것을 생각해서 매복하라고? 뭐 여기가 좋지 않을까? 창문으로 보이니까? 아니면 이 나무 뒤? 이렇게? 어떡하지?
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
경감님, 저 어떡해요?
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky
And why is that?
because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oh, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us.
아저씨가 설명해주네. 여기 침입하는 걸 실패했으니까 다시 올 거라 그러네. 여기가 좋은 것 같아.
This looks like the perfect hiding place.
좋아, 매복합시다. 뭔가 길리슈트 입고 하면 티 안 날 것 같은데. 저렇게 하면 티 나고.
Did you hear that?
문 딴다.
There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
어? 그냥 이렇게 바로?
Hold it right there.
그냥 이렇게 바로 체포한다고? 어?
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey.
맞아.
I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocent? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
No, but yes, it's just that I couldn't...
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard. Tomorrow, I'll see that you're put in front of the judge.
What? But you can't! I'm not... It's a terrible mistake!
Enough. You can explain all of that to the judge. You're coming with me to the yard.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that your coming here was unnecessary. All the same, I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Holmes.
You are welcome, Inspector, but please don't be too hard on our young fellow. I would like to question him tomorrow morning.
맞아, 범인이 아닐 수도 있는데 너무 몰아붙이는 거 아니야? 런던 경찰국으로 갑시다. 용의자 존 호플리 넬리건을 신문할게요. 신원 불명의 침입자가 매복했죠. 뭐야? 뭐야?
Good morning, Mr. Holmes. Can I help you?
Good morning, Constable.
내가
I would
잘못
like
봤나?
to speak to the fellow who was arrested at Woodman's Lee last night.
Ah, the young man. He's waiting in the interrogation room. You can go straight through. His belongings are held in the evidence room.
Thank you.
깜짝 놀랐네.
Mr. Holmes?
발칵. 깜짝이야.
These are the suspect's belongings.
소지품. 반지. 반지가 있고요.
From R. Dawson. To my friend
와, 읽어줘.
and partner, 1883. Dawson.
진짜
I've seen
친절해.
this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer. A handkerchief with the initials JHN. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin.
이걸로 문을 닫구만.
The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin floor. These abbreviations mean something.
맞아.
But what?
이게 뭘라나? 이게 뭐일까? 소지품? 용도 찾아보기 이게 뭘까요? 뭐 안 눌러져. 제가 지금 이 게임을 처음 해가지고 저런 게 뭔지 모르겠어. 저 나갈게 여기서. 그런 거 같은데 나중에 찾는 거 같기도 하고. 아 여기 뭐야 무서워. 뭐야 무서워 여기 분위기. 발 아니야 이거? 갑자기 일어나는 좀비물. 뭐야? 나가자. 여기는 내가 올 곳이 아닌 것 같아. 여기구나. 아 안녕하세요. 문을 닫고 싶은데 말할게요. 수첩에 대해서
Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But where did you find it? I did not know... I thought I'd lost it at the hotel.
What do these abbreviations mean?
Oh, no. I beg you, I can't. If I told you, it would only make things worse.
But I will find out eventually, Mr. Nelligan.
그런 거 아닐까? 돈 빌린 사람.
The sea knife was found near Carey's body. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, did Mr. Carey try to defend himself or to attack you with it?
I don't know. I didn't kill anyone.
The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
가지고 있던 물건입니다. 근데 이거 아까 뭐라고 써 있었지? 아, 이렇게 써 있었지. 반지의 각인.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an
물려받았을
item
수도
from
있지.
a partner.
자, 확인해보자. 해진 모자. 그리고 누더기 옷. 삶이 힘들군. 또 뭐 없을까요? 볼만한 게? 정교한 단추. 헉, 손에 상처가 막 있어. 아, 굳은 살이구나. 흉터와 상처가 막 있어요. 야윈 목덜미. 아, 뭔가 또 내가 못 본 게 있을 것 같은데. 뭘 것 같아? 값비싼 소재. 아, 이게 값비싼 소재였어? 짧은 소매. 이게 자기 옷이 아니라는 거 아니야?
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
네 반지 아니잖아.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
우와.
I will see you soon, young man.
Please, let me go. I'm innocent.
억울하다고?
Mr. Holmes?
더 얘기하고 싶은데 얘랑.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
조합해볼까요? 넬리건의 수청. 발생한 이후 웅덩이로 떨어졌다. 그니까 누가 죽이고 얘 수첩을 일부러 저기다가 놓고 간 거 아니야? 사건 현장에 침입한 이유는 웅덩이의 수첩을 건져내기 위함이었다. 분명 침입자에게도 협의점이 있을 것이다. 아닌가? 재빠른 행동. 피터 캐리는 칼을 들고 있었지만 사용할 틈이 없었다. 그만큼 빨랐음을 의미한다. 사라진 양철통. 읽어보죠. 숙련되지 않은 초보자가 작살로 사람의 몸을 꿰뚫을 수 있는지 실험해보자고요? 에? 그걸 어떻게
I
실험해?
need to stage a reconstruction. I am sure that Watson would be
재구성한다고요?
happy to oblige.